Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video we're covering the PSGL highlights here in Qatar. We're in Q1, this is the final minutes of the Q1 qualifying session. We're in P10, our current lap time will not be good enough to get us through into Q2. So we're going to have to find some lap time, we're going to have to improve and we're going to have to pull it out of the bag on this very tricky, technical, flowing circuit here in the desert. Many reasons this track is very difficult, but one of the biggest reasons is the track limits. As you can see, there's not really any punishment for going over the curbing. It's all curbstones and tarmac and cement here. There's not really any gravel or grass to slow you down, what means you have to be on the limit of the white line every single turn to be at the peak lap time. What of course increases the risk factor of getting the most lap time out of this track. But nevertheless, we're starting to find time on my lap. We're 0.3 up at the moment going through the left hand, the final corner of the middle sector. We get a beautiful exit and now we're 0.8 up, almost a tenth up on our delta, and we go purple in the middle sector. So it's looking good. We just need to hook up these final few corners in this lap absolutely flat out here into a downshift into sixth and hard back on the power. A lot of oversteer on the exit though, that's going to cost us some time. And as we go into the final apex of the lap, we're 10.5 up, and that will be more than good enough, getting us into Q2, and boom, we go P3 in Q1. Now, final run of Q2, same situation again. We're P12, and that will not be good enough to get us into the top 10 shootout. We have to improve. There cannot be any major mistakes on this lap. Flying down into turn 1, hit the brakes, down to the 4th gear, super critical to rotate the car. We're slightly down out of turn 1 into turn 2, we throw the car in and find a lot of speed and commitment through that corner. Coming towards the end of the first sector, we're going to go down the gears into 5th gear and let the car rotate through flat out for the right hand and running a little bit wide, almost running off the track here. So it's not been that ideal of a lap so far, picking up a good speed throughout the hairpin, back green on my delta, through the right hander, hard back on the power, is starting to find some time on the delta. This is what we need to maximize the rest of this lap now, full commitment into the left hander, picking up good minimal speed and a good exit speed as well. The track is very bumpy on the apex of that corner, so very easy to pick up wheel spin. We're 10th up on Daniel Brendon, who is in P11 right now, but that will not be good enough for us. We need to send it in these final 2 corners, throw the car in, and we are up on the delta again, 0.7 into the final apex of the lap. Pick up a good exit, and that's what we do. And we're going to be finding a bit more time down the pit straight, running up across the line. We're currently P15, and that puts us P7, so in fact, with a 991.
Safe, but it's looking good.
And I can confirm we do go through in Q3 as we see the other cars come across the line, and we are going to be safe.
You're safe. You're both
here
safe.
Into Q3. So coming into the final lap of Q3, I'm going to give you a hot lap guide here of the Qatar circuit. Coming down into turn 1, brake at the 50-meter board on the left hand side, go down into 4th gear. The track has a bit of camber, so critical to get to the apex hard on the power earlier than you can imagine. Now into 5th gear, throw the car in and use up all the road on the exit. You have to be super committed with the track limits through turn 3, what isn't really a corner in a Formula 1 car, into turn 4, down to 5th gear, hard back on the power, let the car rotate through. Now we see coming up into the hairpin, brake when the curb starts on the right hand side, and let the car rotate beautifully through. Bit of wheel spin on the exit, that was not ideal. Bring the car back over to the left, down into 4th gear, let the car rotate, now back hard on power, use up all the road on the exit, with green back on the delta, through the right hander, and now hard back on the brake when the curb starts on the right hand side. And now let the car rotate through. Wasn't an ideal apex there, started to pick up a bit too much understeer going into the triple right handers. Completely flat out 1, flat out 2, and flat out 3 one more time. Now coming up to a treacherous second last corner, down to 6th gear, throw the car in, and we are so committed there. We find over a 10th in that one apex alone into the final corner, hard back on the power. He's up all the road on the exit, and I can actually tell you that was my PB of all practice in the final sector, so really recovering the lap across the line. We do a 0.861, and that does put us P9 overall. I wasn't really happy with this position. I had more in me. It wasn't my best qualifying ever, but we have a chance to recover that into the race. We're starting P9 on the hard compound tyres. It's critical that we get a good lap 1, move forward 5 lights. Here in Qatar, lights out and away we go, and you can see we get a pretty good initial phase. In the second phase we don't really pick up the traction that we want. Otis Lawrence is down our inside in turn 1. We pin him to the inside and hang it round the outside of turn 1. You can see actually we're in wheel-to-wheel contact in turn 1 as we got a bit of a warning, and now going up the inside, and we're able to retain the position here in the very treacherous dirty air of the cars ahead. So easy to pick up understeer and wheel spin oversteer in these situations. Daniel Bresnay of our Carton going side by side. We pick an opportunity. We go around the outside. We look around the outside of our Carton as well. He shuts the door on the exit, but we do have a net position gain of 1 position to Daniel Bresnay. That's critical for our race. Looking behind us, getting the position done. Otis Lawrence, Daniel Bresnay fighting behind us. And now we are running through the flat-out right-hander onto the brakes, making sure that we don't leave ourselves vulnerable to anything from the cars behind. You can see Otis Lawrence, Daniel Bresnay have the battling going into triple right-handers. Now there's a car contact up ahead with Patrick Cephos making contact with another car up ahead, almost spinning out as well. But that isn't going to phase us right now. We are just settling into our flow, not taking too much risk with tracking this big snap of oversteer, as I say that, over the bumps of the curbing, and now into the final corner of lap 1, and that has saw us in to position 8 and looking all over the back of our Carton, but nothing doing there. Had a bit of a cheeky battery press to see if we can make something happen, but our Carton defended very well. Coming in to turn 1, you can see all over the back as we cut onto lap 7, and we've been managing the tyres, managing our battery as well. And now you can see Otis Lawrence has been attacking me and trying to get side by side with me multiple times. You can see Otis Lawrence goes down the inside of turn 1. We're going to hang him to the inside, and we're going to have to go clean around the outside of him in turn 1, holding the position, hard back on the power, still side by side. And now we're on the inside of turn 2. Make sure he doesn't get the switch back on us, and we have done that very nicely, parking the car on the apex, and now running up into the middle corners of the middle sector, in fact, and Otis was not able to get another attack on me on that lap, very fortunately. And now lap 13, this is actually our pit in lap. We were planning to go longer in the race, but I felt like I had good tyre wear saving ability. We had good tyre degradation compared to the other cars. I saw the other cars sliding around a lot more than me, so I felt confident that I could pull the undercut and make my tyres last towards the end of the race. So now, this is really where I'm going to start pushing the tyres that I saved. So we're now 4 tenths behind of our Carton. Now we're going to start pushing the tyres and extracting the maximum lap time out of these as much as possible. And we've already cut the gap down to 2.5 tenths. We took a tenth.
-2.
Yep. In our Carton in those few corners alone. You can see my engineer saying confirm -2, and that is going to be lap 13. So we called it quite late, but we was very confident that we'd get the tyres to the end. We were going to do a bit of a dummy and jump to the box at the very last second to ensure that Otis Lawrence wasn't going to follow me into the pit lane, and we could be the sole car on this strategy. Getting the car slowed down, and we're going to go to the medium compound tyres.
Good stint, Brendon.
So we're in fact going to go longer on the mediums than we have gone on the hards. But like I say, I was confident in our tyre saving ability, so it's critical that we nail this outlap. Every apex needs to be maximised. We need to not overslide these tyres at the same time. So it's a massive contradiction what we're looking to do on this outlap, because we need to push, we need to maximise lap time to undercut as many cars as possible. But equally, we cannot destroy these tyres. We need to bring them into the operating window gently, and we need to massage them for the rest of the stint. Equally, we cannot use all of our battery in one push and go. It's very difficult to save battery here at Qatar, so it'll be very critical that I can get as many positions without wasting the battery as possible as we pick up a second corner cut warning for this race as we're touching almost halfway into this race. So as I talked about in qualifying, track limits is so critical, so easy to go over the mark here. And we've only got one more warning before a 3-second penalty. And that would be our race over.
People I'm racing?
You can see me asking how many people are in the pit lane who I'm racing.
I should be ahead of him, right?
You should be clear of them, yeah.
Copy.
Because it's critical for me to know that information.
ERS usage.
So I minimize my ERS wastage on these laps as well. And also my tyre wear. Because as much as I want to gain lap time, I want to make sure that I can hold the positions at the end of the race as well. And if I overstress my battery, my tyres, it's just going to be negative for me at the end of the race. You can see now coming out of the pit lane is Avaro, Otis as well, and we've been able to pull 1.3 seconds to them, and that's going to go up in fact as they have to bring their tyres into the operating window. And now lap 18. Pretty much everyone has now made their pit stop. Otis has caught the back of us and the train has reformed. Tom Manley is effectively P4 and we are effectively P2 with Thomas leading this race. You can see now I'm driving very smoothly, very calmly, managing my tyres, not taking any extra energy that I don't need to be taking out of them. Otis, once again, is all over the back of me. I can say so many positive things about this guy. He's still very young, he's growing, he's so fast, he's such a talented driver, and I'm really excited to see where he can be going in the future. This is a grid of practically F1 Esports drivers, and of course he's on the F1 Esports Academy for one of the teams, but still this is a fantastic performance and fantastic season he's putting together so far in PSGL as he's looking to attack us, and we're looking to attack Thomas Runhard going out into turn 1, holding the inside line, hard back on the power, side by side into turn 2. We're going to have to go all the way around the outside of turn 2, getting the move done. And now we're into the race lead. So we started off straight defending and we turned that into an attacking maneuver. And now we're into the race lead for the first time. I know the DRS is going to be so powerful and so critical, and it's going to be very difficult to hold Thomas behind us at the end of this lap with the DRS activated. But what's going to be critical for us is that we pull a gap to Otis Lawrence to make sure he can't do a double overtake on me and put me down into P3, because P2 is the ideal position to be in this race heading onto the final lap, just because there's so many straights here, so much slipstreaming and so much ability to save the battery as you go on later in the race. You can see we pulled 7 temps, almost 8 temps to Otis Lawrence now before the slipstream starts to kick in and he starts to close in through the full throttle section, pin it down to 6th gear, and now Thomas Runhard 3 temps behind us, and that's okay for us. We're not really looking to defend from Thomas on the straight that we had before, so we can continue saving the battery and position ourselves as good as possible for the end of this race. Coming on to lap 22, you can see we don't even defend Thomas, we let him go up the inside, and just making sure that Otis doesn't have a chance to look down the inside as well, and we do that very neatly as we cut on to lap 28. I've been saving tyres, saving battery. As I talked about earlier, I was very confident in my ability to save the tyres and put them in a good position towards the end of the race. And that's what we do in all stint. We've been driving smoothly, we've been driving calmly, and we've been driving efficiently on our tyre wear. And this is where it's all going to pay off now. Lap 28, one more full lap to go in this race. You can see we have closed the gap to Thomas. We have extended the gap to Otis very slightly as well. And now this is crunch time. This is going to be so critical to maximize this next lap. You can see closing the gap into 3 temps because I want to make sure that I can be as close as possible going on into this DRS straight. 2 temps, 1 temp away from Thomas Runhard now into the second class corner. We go down to 5th just to make sure that we don't have any invalidations on this corner on this lap, as that would be race ending at this point. Final corner, Thomas had a very good corner there, pulling the gap out to 4:10, but that isn't going to matter. We've got so much battery, we've got the slipstream, we've got DRS, and now we're going to go down the inside into turn 1 on the final lap of the race, taking the lead here, but it is not done. It's not over. We have to fight one more lap. Use the tyres that we've been saving and pull this lap out of the bag, out of the hat, and make sure that we hit every apex to perfection. Every minimum speed is going to be critical now into the end of the first section. We pulled the gap up to 3.5 tenths into the hairpin, so critical. You can see the car rotates beautifully, nicely on the traction. We pulled the gap up to half a second there, 1.5 tenths taken out of Thomas in that one hairpin alone. Now smooth back on the power. The gap is still now at 5.5 tenths into the left-hander. The tyres are going off, so we pick up a bit of understeer, have to take multiple stabs at the throttle, but that doesn't matter. We still got good traction. The gap is still 4.5 tenths, 5.5 tenths in fact, nearing on 6 tenths as we head into the final sector of the lap here in Qatar through the right-hander, and now we have got to nail these final few corners in 6th gear, pick up a bit of understeer, but nicely does it. 4.5 tenths out into the final corner of the race. Through the final corner, deploying the rest of the battery, opening DRS, we have got the gap to Thomas, and I'm going to leave you my thoughts, live reaction. Let's go, baby!
1-2.
1-2!
Woo.
Woo! Yes!
Woo.
Woo! So we started P9, and we have came to P1 here in
Can you
Qatar.
unmute me, guys?
I have to say,
Can you unmute me?
I'm really happy with that race, obviously, as you see by my reaction. And it's a race that will, I'll be very happy with for a very long time. How we undercutted, how we managed the tyres, how we maximised that final lap was so critical. So yeah, the strategy was on point. Thank you to the team as well for helping make that strategy and managing the tyres, managing the battery, and managing every strategical element to maximise this race potential. I want to say thank you to you as well for watching at home, joining the Kick live streams that we're doing live on board with me for these races. It's a joy, it's an honour to see everyone in the chat live reacting and interacting during the race. I want to say a big thank you. I've been Brendon Leigh. Thank you so much for watching. Next race will be at Austria, so be sure to tune into the live stream. And until then, I'm going to love you, and I'm going to leave you for now. And have an amazing rest of your day. And I'm going to go back to training, back to driving, and prepare for Austria. Glad to was actually. Ciao, ciao, guys. Bye bye.